Biologicals are a driving force in agriculture's mission to feed a growing population while protecting environmental resources. But does the data-backed science lead to performance? Join NewLeaf Symbiotics on a journey that demonstrates whether their unique biological PPFM technology moves beyond potential and promise to proof of impact on the acre. This is the Pink Performance Tour.
Well, hi Chad, good to see you.
Yeah, thanks for coming down, Ann.
Well, tell me a little bit about your operation here. How long has your family been farming in Florida?
My great-granddad started coming down over the spring. Between him, then my granddad to my dad, and now myself, that's 4 generations. And they've grown almost everything that you can grow in Florida. And we've really honed in on watermelons as our specialty. And we've really trying to just perfect and get the most yield per acre. We've got our watermelons right across the street here, and we'll go check those out.
Today we're talking about our PPFM VT technology, vegetable transplant technology, and about the trial we have here at JDI Farms. So talk to me about how the product is applied, because it's not applied here in the farm, correct?
Roughly a week before they send the plants to us, they drench them with the VT product. That way they're ready to go. They come out of the greenhouse, we put them straight in the ground as quick as we can.
The reason why we want to apply the product in the greenhouse is because we want it to colonize the plant, really get on there, and so it's on there to protect the plant against the transplant stress. One of the ways that the VT product can really prevent the transplant stress and other stressors that this young, delicate seedling has is by really encouraging root growth. With that root growth, they're able to increase their nutrient uptake. So we're seeing increases in NPK and iron. Since this is a product that has 2 different microbes in it, each one is able to increase the uptake of different nutrients. So combined, we've seen really huge increases in NPK and iron, which results in better transplant production.
If the technology works and we see a return, we can lower our input cost. That's farming 101.
Can you tell me about this fabric that you have covering the plants, what that's there for and what that might do with the trial?
We did the fabric or the cloth this year because when we planted in early January, we could see, looking at the long range weather patterns, that there was a really good chance it was going to get really cold.
Yeah.
And the cloth just helps trap that heat in. And I mean, we had a couple days get down in the low 30s, which isn't the end of the world, but it does stunt that plant growth. And even if it doesn't kill it, it'll knock it back 5 to 7 days on when we should be harvesting. I mean, it'll slow it down that much, even just one night. So we went ahead and made the decision to cover everything, and trial and non-trial stuff, everything is covered. So all that's consistent, and we'll be pulling the cloth off right before they start to bloom, and that's when we'll bring the bees in. So it'll be on for about 7 weeks total.
I'm very excited to see how our PPFM technology performs in this field, so let's go check it out. I see some variability in the distance between the plants and the size of the plants. Can you tell me what that is?
In watermelons, you have to have your seedless, which are what we sell to the grocery stores, but to make that seedless, you have to have a pollinator because watermelons are not self-pollinating.
So overall, you're happy with the grower standard practice. These plants look relatively happy.
Yeah, I see no issues. They're about the size. I mean, obviously it varies year to year, but they're right in line with everything that I like to see 30 days into post-plant.
But now we really want to see how those roots look. So it's nice, long, healthy white roots.
Yeah, I see a little bit of lesions right here at the base, right at the ground level, and some stuff right at the dirt level. So nothing too concerning. It's all very typical of your post-transplant stress, and as long as it doesn't get any worse, it's not the end of the world, but it is something I'll have to keep an eye on.
So now we are to the treated side of the field, and we see above ground way more leaf tissue, longer vines, but we want to see, are there more roots? Are they getting down to the nutrients faster? Oh, look how nice and long those roots are. Beautiful.
For sure. You still got your transplant root ball. These look really great. I don't see any issues on any of the leaves. Nothing that's stressing the plant out, so it can just keep growing as fast as it can. Lots of deep roots, which is what we really want. Up on these beds, it's really dry. You really want to get deep roots so they get to the moisture during really the the really hot days later in the year.
Here are our plants that we just dug up out of the field. On this side, we have our grower standard practice control, and on this side is our VT technology treated plant. I think the plants really speak for themselves.
So it's very obvious that the above ground, the leaves, the vines, everything is bigger on our treated stuff. But also what I've noticed is that it seems like even though the non-treated has that one or maybe a couple long tap roots that are about the same length as the treated, there's a lot more of your fine roots up top and a lot more of your feeder roots that were probably right at the ground level, which is great for pulling moisture right after a rain and getting all the available nutrients and all the available fertilizer that's in that bed, because that fertilizer is mixed in the dirt as we lay the plastic mulch. Those roots need to be able to go everywhere and be all in that entire bed to absorb all the nutrients that they can.
But they're all consistently fairly large. And over here, I mean, even between the two seedlings, we see variation in the size there. So I see improvements in obviously the plant, the above ground development, but also the below ground development across both of the varieties that are in this field.
And one thing that's typical with our traditional plants here is that there's a little bit of stress showing. There's a little bit of lesions there where it's a little brown, a little scarred up. Nothing to be concerned with. It'll probably grow out of it, but it's something I'm gonna keep an eye on. It's something that I'll check almost every day, make sure it's not getting worse for whatever reason. But over here on our treated ones, I mean, these things look great. There's a little bit there, but definitely less across the board. And I think part of that is because that stem is just thicker. It's just a little chunkier. It's getting more nutrients and more water up into the vines and up into the leaves. So that's going to create an overall healthier plant.
That's a really good point. I mean, you do see the width across the board with all three of these plants. It's much wider than these three. I'm really curious to see how that ends up improving the nutrient uptake and then, of course, ultimately the yield for these plants. Thanks for having us, Chad. This has been great. We'll see you in about a month. At that point, we'll be looking at fruit count, comparing pollinators and seedless varieties on the control side with the trial side, and we'll evaluate canopy cover too. Looking forward to it.